Okay, this is the last part of the three-part series regarding the muscular system. So this is muscular system part 3. Learning objectives. I want to hit on location and the names of the skeletal muscles and the location of the muscles in relationship to the other muscles. All right, just some terms that's important to know. Dilation. You probably, of course, already know this. Dilation is just the opening of vessels and passageways, and constriction is the closing. So these are good schematics, basically where that you have the dilation of the opening of, say, like the arteries, and constriction, that's contraction of the arteries. And I guess maybe the slide is here because of, unfortunately, it's not so much talking about the skeletal muscles, but actually the smooth muscles there. But I guess I wanted to kind of add that because it's just important to know, of course, the terms, the dilation and constriction there. But this is actually more so relative to smooth muscles and the activities on the vessels, as opposed to really the skeletal muscles, which is that which I'm going to really more so emphasize in this portion. All right, so muscles of the trunk. So yeah, so pretty much just be aware of the different muscles here. Maybe if I have a picture of it, you'll be able to identify the portions. You may have heard the term the pecs, pectoralis major. All right, so these are the pecs. So that's just kind of more so the chest muscles here. All right, centaurus anterior in the front. All right, the transverse. I talked about this, I think, in the last lecture, how that transverse is perpendicular to the midline. Again, this is the midline, folks. This is midline. So perpendicular to the midline, the rectus are what? Actually parallel to the midline. The obliques are at a diagonal. So you have the external obliques, which is of course external on the outside, internal obliques on the inside. All right, so like I said, this can be much more detailed in nature there, but really that's the things that I just want you to be somewhat familiar with. All right, so we have the trapezius. So that's more so this muscle right here. If you ever go to the gym and do some weightlifting, there are different types of machines that actually, of course, will emphasize on the trapezius, the deltoids, the shoulder muscles. All right, the latissimus dorsi. Have you ever seen people, I guess, kind of weightlifting and talk about the wings, if you will, when you develop these? So basically, so that's the lats. You have the lat machines. Basically, just kind of grab the bars and pull it down. Rhomboid major. That's kind of right here, kind of connected to looks like the vertebrae. And these are kind of more so other muscles that's more interior. So these are more so exterior muscles, and these are the guys that's kind of more so interior muscles. So of course, yet still skeletal muscles, but very important. Again, deltoids. All right, pectoralis major, latissimus dorsi. So just look where it's pointing. All right, biceps bronchi. All right, and the bronchiodoris right here. Intercostals. These are the muscles actually that are really in between the rib cage. So you see, of course, the ribs. So these are the muscles that you see here that's actually in between the ribs. So a group of muscles that run between the ribs and help them move the chest walls. These muscles are mainly involved in mechanical aspects of breathing and help expand and shrink the size of the chest cavity to facilitate breathing. So of course, obviously, that's something that's very important. So there's a lot of muscles that actually play a role in the breathing process there. So the intercostal muscles, again, like I said, the group of muscles that are in between. So you have the innermost intercostals, most inside, and then you have the external intercostals. So a lot of muscle groups are actually going to play a role in the breathing. Again, the external intercostals, all right, and the internal intercostals, all right, and then further inside, the innermost intercostals. Okay. All right, trapezius abdominis, right here. And again, the external obliques, I think I talked about this, internal obliques, and the rectus, I mentioned that in the slide earlier. think I mentioned this also in a slide earlier. I know that some of these slides are just kind of repeating themselves in a sense, but with a different picture, but repetition is good. Again, the traps, trapezius, deltoid, shoulder muscles, the lats right here. All right, the teres major, kind of like on the bottom end of the I guess kind of real close to the lats. You can kind of actually, again, like I said, just kind of break these muscles down to actually even minor or smaller groups there. I think I had another slide that would pretty much explain the same thing. All right. Bicep brachii right here. So of course the bicep muscles. All right. Underneath, all right, are the triceps. All right, posterior. Okay. I think I mentioned this, the teres major. All right. So, and then this muscle, all right, corabrachioideus right here, important muscle as well. Of course, you know where the, you have the ulna and the radius, these are the bones. All right, so have an idea of what these muscles are. Teres right here, and again, like I said, there's a lot of muscles right here, and again, like we tend not to more so see this on people's arms unless they're actually really kind of working out and emphasizing those muscles. You know, you might see bodybuilders or athletes where that, yeah, you can see those muscles are kind of they contract. You can actually see them from a macroscopic level. What I mean by macroscopic level, you actually see them. You don't need a microscope. And you can see them on the skin in terms of bulging through the skin there. So flexor carpi, ulnus, and all these, of course, are important. So a lot of muscle groups, of course, in the arm. All right, supinator. All right, posterior. Remember anterior and posterior. Okay, so we have the anterior and the posterior, kind of more so the back there. So again, I think I talked about this as well. I don't know how detailed I want to get into these muscle groups in terms of actually showing pictures of it there, but yeah, just do your best and be aware of it. And a number of these muscles actually were already in your vocabulary portion. All right, so muscles of the legs. All right, sartorius, muscular group right here. All right, it's usually kind of more so going to be covered up by, you see on the right, of course, there's a muscle that a lot of people, of course, know about and talk about, the gluteus maximus, gluteus medius. It's further above there, so gluteus maximus right here. The quads, the quadriceps. All right, so the rectus femoris, associated with the femur. So again, remember I talked about how some muscles actually receive names in terms of its location. So that's around the femur area. All right. So quadriceps are a group of muscles located in the front of the thigh. The Latin translation quadriceps is forehead or four-headed, as the group contains four separate muscles. Four separate muscles there. You see here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, anterior. Again, femoral muscles. It's anterior again, the front. Gastrocnemius, yeah, that's in the back there, but the anterior. All right, sartorius. I think I mentioned about that earlier. Femoral muscles. All right, the adductor longus right here. You know that this is the femur, ball and socket joint. The femur. All right, and adductor magnus right here. Oh, kind of think about that word. Remember when I talked about this word before, so maybe that plays a role. All right, anterior and posterior, the tibulus. So we have the anterior, all right, tibulus anterior, muscles towards the front, anterior, this is your toes, and then posterior, tibulus posterior, right here. All right, probably underneath it, kind of like more so like in the gastrocnemius area, the gastrocnemius calf muscle. Hamstrings, all right, bicep femoris, semitendinosus, semimembraneous. All right, so all this is actually just the general area. Just talk about the hamstring muscles. Maybe like in runners and athletes, you know, say, hey, I pulled a hamstring, hammy. So I pulled a hammy, it can be, probably could be anywhere of these muscles, or a hamstring pull, a hamstring tear. That can be any of these muscle groups that can be involved in that. All right, so again, calf muscles, gastrocnemius, soleus. So again, gastrocnemius. All right, soleus. All right, Achilles tendon. So that's a tendon. Again, tendon connecting muscles to the bone. All right, and yeah, it would be a good idea to pretty much know this is just a general concept of both the anterior and posterior portion of the body there. So yeah, it will be a good idea to be able to know those major muscle groups. You might see it on this upcoming test. Who knows? The final exam on some level or another. Who knows? Maybe your boards there. So definitely memorize those. And again, like I said, and be familiar with the ones that I get even a little bit more specific. This is more general. Definitely, this is more general. I get more specific with, a little bit, in this lecture there. But this is more general. But definitely need to know at least on the general concepts. And like I said, be familiar with the more specific concepts that I mentioned in this PowerPoint. All right. And this is just talking about flexion extension, so don't worry about that there. Right. I mean, worry about the flexion extension there, but don't worry. I mean, you can read through this and that's fine, but I think that the flexion and extension, that's something that you should be pretty easy and pretty aware with. All right, thank you.